kick. Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, May 23rd meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We are excited today to be in the town of Calhoun for our second Commissioners on the Road program. This is allowing us with a unique opportunity
that we might have the opportunity to spend eternity with you. We thank you for hearing our prayer today, and we ask all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. And if I could have the mayor from the town of Calhoun, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mr. Lamasani, we would love to hear a few words about this lovely town we're in today, and thanks for letting us join you.
Well, I'm not much of a speaker, so I appreciate everybody coming out. This is kind of a nice program you guys got going. So I know some of you have seen, I've been on town council for 9 years now as a councilman, and this is my first term as mayor. So we appreciate it out here. We love the town. Looking forward to the El Paso County Fair coming. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we will move on to item number 3.
Item number 3 is staff emergency items, and I'm unaware of any staff emergency items today.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is changes, postponements, and notice of the next meeting. I'm aware of one change to the agenda today. Item numbers 9 and 10 will be considered after item number 5, and the next meeting is June 6th at Centennial Hall at 9 a.m. and again at 1 p.m. Item number 9 is the proclamation recognizing El Paso County's proud Western heritage. Lujinos Gonzalez Jr., Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve a proclamation recognizing El Paso County's proud Western heritage. Whereas El Paso County is proud of our Western history and culture and recognizes how our past continues to shape the Pikes Peak region. And whereas events such as the Colorado Springs Western Street Breakfast, the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, and the El Paso County Fair preserve and promote our wonderful heritage. And whereas on June 21st, 2023, the annual Colorado Springs Western Street Breakfast along Tejon Street at Pikes Peak Avenue will once again bring the community together for a fun-filled send-off for the Pikes Peak Range Riders, whose annual ride around the Pikes Peak is a cherished community tradition that serves to promote the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo as a wonderful centerpiece of summer and an important economic driver for the entire region. County Commissioners, in recognition of upcoming events celebrating our Western heritage, urges local businesses to join various county departments and elected offices and encouraging employees to take part in these special events and wear Western attire on the days of the events. Done this 23rd day of May 2023 in Calhoun, Colorado, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Cami Bremer, Chair, Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair, Lujinos Gonzalez Jr., Stan Vanwerf, and Holly Williams, members, and attested to by Steve Schleicher, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second. That has been moved and seconded. Do we have any members of the audience that would like to speak on this proclamation? Mr. Whitney.
Seemingly continue to be becoming. This is not Connecticut. This is the West, and Western heritage and Western values matter. They're who we are, and they're who we should continue to want to be. I think as many of you know, since World War II, the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo has been put on, and its principal mission is to support life initiatives, quality of life initiatives for servicemen and women serving in the El Paso County region, and to promote Western heritage and Western values. I guess I could say on a personal note that I'm a Vietnam vet, so I appreciate the respect that the community gives our military, military families in the area. And all I can say is the second annual NFR Open at the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo, July 11 through 15, will be even bigger. Instead of 5 performances over 4 days, there will be 7 performances over 5 days. We will add a Tuesday evening performance and a Friday matinee performance, and that's simply because of the demand for tickets, which is a wonderful thing. In addition to that, champions from the Mexican National Rodeo Circuits will be participating with us as well. So Canada, Mexico, and the United States will be represented. There'll still be $1 million out there for people to win. And the nice thing is that between July 11 and July 15, the attention of El Paso County will be on the sport and the pageantry and the athleticism, the skill, and the just plain fun of rodeo, and its participants, 2- and 4-legged. The 4-legged participants are pretty impressive, I think, as most of you know. So that's all I have to say, Madam Chair, about the rodeo, and I think I may get called up by Carlos again to say something about the Range Riders, so I'll do that when you're ready. The president of the Range Riders, very good guy, is not available. Jeff Renahan can't be here today, he has a family emergency. I'm an old Range Rider, so he asked me if I would step in. So when the time comes, I'm happy to do that. Go ahead. Oh, are you okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir, please proceed.
Well, you know, hug the mic all morning. Okay. So as the proclamation indicated, this is 75th ride, and I think most of you here are familiar with the Range Riders. There are over 200 members like the Range Riders put on to help physical and cognitive young people have a rodeo experience and have a good time. If you've never been to that, you need to go to that. That'll touch your heart. Pikes Peak Therapeutic Riding Center, now called Stable Strides. They are housed out at Latigo, where the foundation is, and we have a good working relationship with them. Day on the Range, which is something the Range Riders put on for underserved boys club, girls club, young people in the county to enjoy some Western activities, which they seem to get a kick out of. Pikes Peak Posse, which is something the Range Riders promote every year. We assist the young people in the sale of their animals here at the El Paso County Fair, and of course at the Junior Livestock Sale at the State Fair. Colorado Springs Western Street Justice, as Commissioner Lohinas mentioned.
Program began 101 years ago, and last year we had really special outfits that were the same as the original Don Norris in 1922. The Girl of the West is a 2-summer program, and they are chosen for the aid. We'll do that this summer during the rodeo on July 13th. We'll choose next year's aid, and she'll become the aid next year, and McKenna will be the Girl of the West again next year. McKenna Norton is the 2023 Girl of the West, and you know her as last year's County Fair Queen. And we're lucky to have her as our Girl of the West for the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo. She's the 19-year-old daughter of Jeff and Kristen Norton, and her sister Maddie is a rangerette. She's been involved in lots of equestrian events over the years. She's studying agricultural communications at the University of Wyoming, which is my alma mater too, so it's very exciting for me. The mission of the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo is near and dear to her, and she rides a sorrel quarter horse mare named Herbie, so please enjoy her presentation.
Welcome.
Hi, my name is McKenna, and I'm the Girl of the West. I serve as the proud ambassador for the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, and I am so excited to let you know that pro rodeo world champions and rising stars from across the US, Canada, and Mexico will all be competing for over $1 million in payouts, and it's all happening at the NFR Open at the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, July 11th through the 15th in Colorado Springs. Over 200 contestants will bring their talents to the scenic Norris Penrose Event Center to compete in bareback riding, breakaway roping, steer wrestling, team roping, saddle bronc riding, tie-down roping, barrel racing, and bull riding. The semifinals and finals will be held on Saturday, July 15th, when the National Circuit Champions will be crowned. It is important to let you know that the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo is a very special event for me and my family. It's important to us because of everything it stands for. Our win at the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo will be July 11th through the 15th, with evening performances Tuesday through Saturday and matinee performances on Friday and Saturday. Yep, that's right. Tuesday evening and Friday matinee are new additions this year due to the demand for more performances after last year's sellouts. That's more performances, more fans, more fun, and 2 more chances to see all the action live and in person. Evening performances will begin at 7 p.m. with matinee performances starting at noon. Grounds open at 10 a.m. for matinee performances and 4 p.m. for evening performances. Arriving early helps to avoid traffic, and there is plenty to do before the rodeo begins, with lots of vendors for shopping, lots of options to grab a bite to eat or something to drink, and plenty of fun to be had in the fan zone, for both kids and grown-ups too. After the rodeo, be sure to stick around for autographs from the contestants, the Rangerettes, State Queens, and the Girl of the West. That's me. Then live music and dancing awaits in the Coors Roadhouse Saloon. I'll be watching for you to wave back at us from our awesome pink Ram truck from Perkins Motors. We'll be heading out all over town to promote our rodeo at businesses, military installations, and community events, and stopping by our generous sponsors who help make our event possible. And speaking of community events, I hope to see you all bright and early on June 21st at the annual Colorado Springs Western Street Breakfast. Then get ready for the best in professional rodeo at the NFR Open at the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, July 11th through the...
We are the West. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, McKenna, awesome. Man, you nailed it. And I know you get to practice that a couple of times, so you nail it all the time, which is awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. It sounds like University of Wyoming, you're off to a great career and having a little fun with this, so congratulations for that, and we wish you the best. And thank you for being a great representative for our community. And I'll make a couple of quick comments also about the tradition of the West. For those of you that might not think too much about it, from the point of view of land, El Paso County is over 80% rural. So we still, even though we have a big city, and even though we have a lot of urban non-city areas, we're still very much a rural county. Absolutely, that's true, with an enormous amount of agriculture and a lot of tradition that's connected to it. So for me, it's wonderful to celebrate that, to do this proclamation, to participate in the events that we have throughout the community with regard to Western traditions, the rodeo, and so forth. And thanks for everybody that participates in that to protect our Western heritage here in El Paso. Thank you.
I will second those comments as well, but I wanted to, I'm super excited about you all being here today and really here in Calhan as well, where so much of Western heritage is celebrated and certainly celebrated through our county fair that is coming, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think July 15th through 22nd right here through our beautiful landscape. What a wonderful tradition. And like a cowboy gets back on the saddle after a long, hard haul and perhaps some losses, our beloved community came back together this year with resilience, perseverance, and a true appreciation for freedom and friendship. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you. It is such an honor and a joy to be here in Calhan to have to do this proclamation today. There's so much that is coming together and tied together. I this is my district. I love being out here. Every time I come to Calhan, every time I participate in a fair event or even come out for a meeting, there's something calming about knowing how great our Western heritage and our rural roots are in El Paso County. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to see this room full and be as accessible as possible for as many people to participate in this. We love to have it downtown too, but it's great to really be out in the rural area to celebrate this. McKenna, fantastic job as always. It was such a pleasure to get to know McKenna a little bit as our fair queen and her family. And she is a representation of so many of our fantastic El Paso County residents. It's particularly special to talk about the rodeo and the support for our military families, especially as we are also on the eve of Memorial Day, and we have some special guests here that we are celebrating in that as well. So thank you for keeping this Western heritage alive. Thank you for the absolute respect that you show our military. We're grateful for that. And I hope that we continue to keep this tradition alive for a very long time in El Paso County.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I always love doing these. This is a great time of the year, getting to enjoy our Western heritage. But I don't think I've told it in Calhan. But they heard it the other day as well. Again, I went to the Air Force Academy. Really came out here, got to enjoy my first rodeo by going to the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo, and there was only two things I remember as fond events. That basic training at the Air Force Academy, and that was the chaplain's picnic and going to the Saturday matinee of the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo. So great memories for me from a very difficult, of course, first year at the Air Force Academy and basic training. But so I've got fond memories of this, and so I'm always so appreciative of being able to support you and all you do. So thank you and God bless, and that's all I have.
Okay, with no further comments, that proclamation has been moved and seconded, so we'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderweer.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. And we'd love to take a brief recess and get a photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we want to advertise the right thing here. Who's coming up here? Waller said he was going to beat me on that. I was going to win.
How are you doing?
My toe's supposed to be pointed. I got to match your toe there. Yeah. Match your toe. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me do that again.
Opportunity for citizens to participate regardless of where we are, and certainly going into a different community and different structures does present some challenges, and they've been ready to work through those at every point to make sure that our citizens could as fully participate as possible and still have us out in areas that we're not usually in. So thank you very much. With that, we will move on to item number 10.
Item number 10 is the proclamation recognizing Memorial Day 2023. Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners.
I'd like to move the proclamation recognizing Memorial Day 2023. Whereas Memorial Day was originally known as Decoration Day, and May 30th, 1868 was set as a day when Americans were urged to decorate the graves of those who died in the Civil War. And whereas Decoration Day was expanded after World War I to honor all those who served in all American wars, And whereas it was officially renamed Memorial Day and declared a federal holiday to be observed on the last Monday of May each year by an act of Congress in 1971. And whereas we can celebrate freedom through the efforts of millions of American and Canadian veterans who served bravely and faithfully on battlefields throughout the world, and whereas more than 100,000 veterans and their dependents call the Pikes Peak region home, and whereas the loved ones of all deceased veterans should be extremely proud of their efforts, and whereas all El Paso County residents should join together to honor the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect our freedom. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners recognizes the sacrifice of countless men and women in uniform and their families and proclaims May 29th, 2023 as Memorial Day in El Paso County, Colorado. Done this 23rd day of May 2023 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Signed, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Cami Bremer, Chair, Carrie Geithner, Vice Chair, Lohinas Gonzalez, Jr., Stan Vanderwerf, and Holly Williams, Member, and attested to by Steve Schlager, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. I know that we have an audience full of incredible people here today. If you are here to speak on this proclamation, please come forward, state your name for the record, and we'd love to hear from you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Skylar Holmes. I'm the Cemetery Director for Pikes Peak and Fort Lyon National Cemeteries. We're here to honor our veterans, those who have served, those who are active duty, and we're going to put on a phenomenal presentation on Monday morning at 10 o'clock at the Pikes Peak National Cemetery to recognize the service and sacrifice that our county, our country.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Joe Lewis with Angels of America's Fallen, and Rob O'Regan's one of our board members, is the former chairman of our board. And we've been in existence for 10 years. And our mission is to honor our fallen by supporting the dreams of their children. And what we want to do is get the kids engaged in something healthy, sports, music, arts, whatever their passion is that has a coach or an instructor component. So they're getting some of these activities outside the home and also getting some of the mentorship you get from the coach or the instructor. And we're very honored to do this. And we have supported children now for 10 years all over the nation. So we've got 2 children in South Africa that were in Aurora, but their father had family there and they wanted to get connected with them, and then also some in Japan right now. But the largest concentration of kids by far is here in El Paso County. Obviously, we've got a very large military base presence here, but more importantly, it's a fantastic place to live. And so many of the families choose to come back here because it was their favorite duty station or because of the amount of support they know they'll receive from this community. And we're honored to have Sergeant Major Sarter's family as recipients in our program. And I'd have to mention to Dee that her husband, Sergeant Major Sarter, was so well respected and loved by so many people that served with him that we have by far had more people that served with him reach out to us. And this typically happens when there's a loss. We'll get calls from friends and family wanting to make sure that we connect with that family. But by far, we received more calls wanting to make sure that we connected with your family, Dee. And it's been an honor to support Grace and Garrett, Grace in cheerleading and Garrett in piano and rock climbing too, I think. And Strider's here, but he was already older. He's already off in college. But we support the kids from the time they enroll all the way to 19 without them having to reapply. We want to make sure that they've got this healthy outlet for healing. And it's not a grief-based thing. It's about them just going out and being themselves and writing their own story of who they are in a positive manner in spite of their loss. So thank you for this recognition of Memorial Day, because we never want to lose a child because their parent gave all for our country and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today.
And
beautiful mission.
Madam Chair, I believe just as a very poignant tie-in here that Angels of America's Fallen is also going to be participating with the fair this year as well, if I'm correct about that. So we didn't get to hear about that, but if you'd like to come back up, I think.
Well, just Yes, we are. And
If you wouldn't mind speaking in the microphone so that those watching and listening online can hear as well. Thanks.
yes, sorry, sometimes I forget what I'm going to say. So yes, we are. We did last year as well, and it's an honor to do so. This community, again, is such a fabulous place to live, and it's full of so many supporting and caring people. We would not be in existence, and we wouldn't be able to support this mission were it not for the fantastic people through the goodness of their hearts and the business owners and everybody in this community. So, in fact, also we've got a Memorial Day run coming up. That's a big community event put on by Red Leg Brewing, the Angel Run, which is on Memorial Day. So we absolutely love this community and the community standing up and standing by the kids of our fallen.
Feel so blessed. Our family was so blessed. I prayed for spouses for my children when they were young, and God showed up and showed out with Deanna Sarter. And I would just like to acknowledge her because Ryan does get a lot of recognition, as he should, but Deanna was always there. And every honor that he was bestowed, every medal that he won, all the recognition and honor should go to her as well. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us honor you all today, and to the organizations and the support that this community provides to our veterans. Thank you to you as well. With that, I will bring it up here for comments. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Gosh, I hadn't even raised my hand, and you just knew that I was going to offer some comments, so thank you. I tell you, I'm really proud of our community because we know the importance of serving the nation, defending the country. We have many veterans and veterans' families here. And everywhere I go, I hear thanking a veteran and thanking their families, and I'm doing that today, and this proclamation is about that today, especially for those that we have lost. My heart goes out to you, to the family here, to Ryan, Deanna, the mom. Appreciate your speaking up. That takes a certain amount of bravery as well. I'm sure Ryan did an amazing job in Afghanistan, and I am grateful for his service. Now, I served for 28 years in the Air Force as well, and also lost some friends. I also fly for Angel Flight West. Many of you may or may not know what that is, but we fly people with medical issues around the country to take care of those problems, especially for people that cannot necessarily afford them. And we do occasionally fly military personnel, retired military personnel, who sometimes are suffering from PTSD and just need long-term medical care. But I do want to tell a story that is a special story for me. And when I was active duty in the military, I was in Washington, D.C. I had some meetings in the Pentagon, and then I had some meetings in the old executive building right next to the White House. I was on my way over there. I was in Class A's, dressed up, looking sharp. But I had about 2 hours before my next meeting, so I stopped at Arlington National Cemetery just to go in there and take a look. And over on the left, I saw some new graves. And there were a couple people there. So I walked down there, and I ran into this wife, and she was crying. She had just buried her husband. I was able to comfort her for about 10 minutes. She cried on my shoulder. I'm glad I was there. This is who we are. We defend the principles of this nation. It's a great country. Don't let anybody tell you it isn't. And the fact that we have people that sacrifice to protect this country is truly, Truly amazing. My hat's off to you, and thank you very much.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to pass along all the great things and support that you've done for your family and all the Gold Star families out there that we also know. A lot of times people, the general public sometimes forget that this isn't about veterans. This is Memorial Day. So Stan and I served in the military, and so many of us have or have spouses that have worked and served in the military. But it's about those that have served and given them, their lives for service to our country and the great things they've done for us since the founding of this country, great country. And so, we all have some of these stories. I had 2 coworkers and friends who passed away just from medical issues during exercises. And then unfortunately, another friend, Major Stone, who was killed by a grenade when he was deployed to Iraq and from Iraqi enemy. But, so we remember them and the sacrifices that they gave. And this is one of those things that we do. And so many of us have stories. And it's just take the time to remember all the great things that they've done and the sacrifices they've done for us. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, I wanted to thank our Gold Star family for being here. Just 3 weeks ago, I lost a Gold Star mom who was a dear friend. Her name was Cleo Allgood, and she had lost her son in 2008. So it's an honor to have you here and to see your service and know that you've given the ultimate sacrifice.
All of us, and today you've shared it with the community, but we can't take away that hurt. But we can thank you, your family, and so many others like you for the sacrifice of a wonderful person that you loved. And we can recognize the bigger picture. And there just aren't any words today, but I'm so honored that we could do this. And we do have so many Gold Star families that call El Paso County home. And I'm proud of our community for just surrounding all of them, all of you. It's not a club anybody wants to be a part of, but I'm really glad that club exists for supporting each other as well. So you let us know if you need anything. I know you stay in touch with several people here, but and that goes for all the organizations supporting our veterans and a really special mission at Angels of America's Fallen. I'm excited that you two got to benefit from staying involved in activities that became a healthy outlet for you, and to see and hear that that's happening with other kids who need it in our community is impressive. So carry on, and honored to do this today. Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hate to see you cry, Deanna, but it seems like so many times when we are honoring Ryan, that unfortunately that is a side effect of just honoring his memory. My husband, many of you probably know, but I'll just say my husband served in the Army, served in Afghanistan, still serves in the reserves today. And when we arrived here and decided to make Falcon our home, and he left active duty, we did come here to Fort Carson. And so we were separated from a lot of our, the kind of camaraderie that you have when you're active duty and you're in the military. And but there was just always this great family feel for military. Fully recognize or in any way make it easier for your family, but I think it is important to all of us to remember the sacrifice that your family continues to make every day, and the sacrifice of Ryan and the great work that he did. I know you are a great patriot. I am so proud to call you a friend. And I, as a military spouse, I can't imagine being in your shoes. I truly can't. But I'm so grateful that our community is able to honor you, that you are still here in our community, and we are all able to together recognize how important the work and the sacrifices are for a great nation, knowing that so many serve, knowing that this is a possible outcome, and yet we are just so grateful for the fact that your family was willing to support Ryan over and over again on those deployments. There really, truly aren't any words. I've used a lot of words here, but none of them will ever convey my gratitude. I think I've messaged to Deanna once or twice. Sometimes it's not easy being an elected official. Some people get upset, angry, they don't understand your decision making. Every time I'm making a hard decision, I think that is nothing compared to what you've sacrificed for the freedom, for the liberty, for what it means to be an American. So thank you for your continued inspiration in my daily life. I want to remind everyone who may not be aware, when you leave today and you are driving down Highway 24, there are signs where part of Highway 24 was renamed after Ryan, so look for those signs, they're there. I think that there are some activities planned in Ryan's honor as well. I think there are a couple signs on there. If you'd like to share any of it, you're welcome to, Deanna, but I won't go into details here. But some activities to continue to honor Ryan. I know that 7 was his favorite number, and so we've participated in that 7-mile walk a couple of times. And I encourage anybody who is looking for a way to honor those who have fallen during our Memorial Day weekend to consider participating in those, getting to know the family, getting to know the community who continues to honor Ryan's memory. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you. And with that, this has been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 5-0. And we would I think we have enough proclamations for all of the organizations and people that are here today to have their own copy. But we will take a recess, and we'd love to do photos as you would like.
Thanks. Where would you like to do it, though?
Is this turned off? I was gonna announce what you just said. Who? I think it's shut off.
I'm going to take it from here. No, I'm going to take it here with you guys. If we could have the commissioners in front with whoever is getting the proclamation. Who's getting a proclamation? Okay. Okay, and then Commissioner Geithner, the family is getting it?
Where would you like us?
We want those who are getting a proclamation in front with the commissioners, and then the crowd kind of like behind in your chairs. So the picture view is like this.
County Commissioners. If you're just joining us, we did take things a little out of order this morning. So we are going to back up to item number 6.
Item number 6 is comments by elected officials and commissioner liaison reports.
Do we have any of our countywide elected officials with us or online? Okay, thank you. With that, Commissioner Williams.
Well, I feel like we've already made our comments this morning, but it is so nice to be out here. We do love our fairgrounds. We love being out here for the county fair every year. I am looking forward to just my weekend, in all honesty. This weekend, my family's coming into town for probably our first family vacation in more than 2 years, where we've all been able to get together. So we're looking forward to that. And then next week, we will be up at the Colorado Counties meeting and enjoying time in Vail with our fellow commissioners and talking about hopefully what happened in the state legislature and what will happen in the state legislature next year. So that is my update for today.
Thank you. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you very much. Just first comment before I go through my calendar, I just want to let everyone here from Calhan know that you all rock. This is our second board meeting around the community. The first one was in Manitou Springs, and I think you guys have 5 times as many people here as Manitou Springs brought to the meeting. So it tells me how engaged you are, so thanks very much for all of that. Going through my calendar, I'll be going to a relinquishment of command if we finish our board deliberations here in time at 2 o'clock today at Fort Carson. And then I'll be going after that to the Garden of the Gods. They are reopening their restaurant, and that'll be a reopening ceremony. And then after that, I'll be traveling, I believe, with Commissioner Williams to the Tri-Lakes event at the Woodman Valley Chapel. We'll be there. Tomorrow, I'll be participating in the Airport Advisory Commission meeting at 3 o'clock. And then on Thursday, going to the Mountain Post Warrior Memorial Ceremony. That's Thursday morning at 10. Then we have a Public Works Appreciation Lunch to thank our employees that plow our roads with snow and fix our roads and so forth. They're great employees. We'll go out there every once in a while and have lunch with them and just appreciate them. And then I'll be going again to another change of command ceremony at Fort Carson, 3 o'clock on Thursday. And then later on Thursday at 6 in the evening, I'll be participating in a Fountain Creek Watershed District Town Hall in Fountain. And those are my activities with one exception. Just next week, we will be going, the commissioners, or several of us at least, will be going to the Colorado Counties Incorporated Summer Conference. That'll be starting on 30 May, and that's my agenda. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of things. Heavy week of agenda items. We'll attend a meet and greet tonight at the City of Fountain before their regular City Council meeting to meet their new fire things that the state legislature has been doing, taking support positions, taking opposed positions, and I'm going to give credit to the county, especially our staff. Ryan and Brandon, for the great work that they do for us and the commissioners who have fought. We've taken positions, we've influenced the statewide association on taking positions, and even when that legislature is heavily leaned to one side, we have gotten some significant changes and some victories, and I'm proud of all the effort that we've done in influencing, as little as sometimes it feels like, what does happen in our state. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple of things going on this week, including regional building this week, as well as multiple constituent meetings. I also will be participating in a town hall this weekend at Liberty Tree Academy. That's from 1 to 3 p.m. in Falcon. There will be several elected officials there, including the local state representative and senator, and I believe Sheriff Joe Roybal will be there as well. And so we will have the opportunity to update on things going on as well as answer questions for the community. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that this weekend. I will also be attending CCI. I will echo the comments of Commissioner Gonzalez, how important that work has been, and grateful for the support of all of the board and our staff here. I will also be attending that Public Works luncheon. It's a great reminder for me to say, hang in there with the road construction, guys. I know there's a lot of road construction going on, particularly in the Falcon area right now. The good news is the roads are getting fixed. And so that's actually a very exciting thing, is to see that those roads are being repaired and we're going to have better quality roads moving forward. But yes, that those construction detours can be a bit challenging. I will be the first to say that I have neglected to turn down Stapleton every time I have come home and had to go back around. I know that that is a bit of a frustration, but I think that we are looking to be wrapping that curb and gutter work up soon, and so that is in preparation for future road work there. I also just want to jump back a little bit to quickly for Memorial Day and encourage everyone to get out and do something meaningful with your family, especially your children. You know, it is so important for kids to understand the sacrifices that are made and to instill that value of our nation. So I encourage you to find something that your children can participate in. I also want to just mention a couple additional names. I may or may not have told this story about being in Germany on one of my husband's assignments and coming to a unit that was already deployed, and participating in building a memorial wall there. And that was a huge event in my life, to walk into a unit and be able to raise the funds and get that going. But while we were there, my husband was a member of the 3rd Stryker Regiment there. We also lost a couple of individuals who were part of my husband's platoon. I believe we should never forget their names. So today I'd like to also just mention and honor Staff Sergeant Brian Burgess and Specialist Kelly Mixon, who were also lost during that deployment in 2010. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Geithner. So 'tis the season, I think, for lots of ribbon cuttings and announcements. So my next couple of weeks of calendars are full of that. My colleagues have mentioned the CCI conference. I think I will be holding down the fort here at home and making sure that the county commissioners have a presence at many of those events locally taking place while they are at the CCI conference. And that also means we will not have a regular Board of County Commissions meeting next Tuesday. I also, let's see, this week I have the Board of Health tomorrow morning, and then Urban Renewal Authority for the city of Colorado Springs in the afternoon. Then I will be touring, I believe, with at least one of my colleagues' Community Works organization. And then also attending the Public Works Week picnic. And I'll just use this opportunity to give a huge shout out to all of our Public Works employees. Some of them you may see and wave on the side of the road, and there are just as many planning for and doing the behind the scenes work that it takes to keep those crews safe and working during these summer months where it's not a seasonal job, because the same employees that are out paving the roads right now and all summer are the ones that are plowing them in the winter. And so it takes a high level of expertise and commitment, and the days are long, the nights are long. So if you get the opportunity to even just wave at one of those flagmen today or this week, that would be amazing. And then I also I wanted to comment on stepping back a bit to the earlier proclamation we did. I was thinking as I was driving out here today that first of all, just how expansive and beautiful and diverse in landscape and makeup El Paso County is. And I think it's amazing for those of us who may stay in the city more get to see and realize that. And we all try to get out within our districts. My district happens to be entirely within the city limits of Colorado Springs. And yet I'm charged with making, being one of 5 votes on impactful decisions to our rural way of life. So the opportunity to come out here and meet those people whose lives are impacted by our decisions is truly an honor. It's something I take very seriously, and I'm excited about the other items on our agenda today that kind of incorporate all of that as well. I am actually I'm going to pull up something here as well. I can think of no better way to feel right at home here in El Paso County, where thousands daily use their heads for clearer thinking, their hearts for greater loyalty, hands for larger service, and health to better living. And if you're familiar with 4-H, those are the 4 H's. And just on the drive today, I was just realizing that that's really what El Paso County is about. And I'm grateful that we as commissioners can take some time to honor that, realize it, and be here where all of that is ingrained in daily life, and just honored to do that and to be here. And with that, are there any other elected officials wishing to speak?
Madam
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Chair, thank you. I did forget one thing because we're not going to be here next week. I did want to pass along one condolences to the Air Force Academy, the loss of one of their cadets the other week, but also congratulate the class of 2023 and their commencement next week. And then I had meant to make a comment. We did have Colorado Springs have an election. I did want to congratulate Mr. Yemi Mobolade on his becoming the next mayor of Colorado Springs. Thank you.
Excellent. We do look forward to working with our colleagues at the city to ensure continued collaborative efforts for our region. Okay, we have completed item number 6. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is Community Service Organization Reports. 7A, Upper Black Squirrel Creek Groundwater Metro District Project Announcement. Dave Duran, President, Upper Black Squirrel Creek Groundwater Management District. Jared Abraham, Senior Geophysicist, Aqua Geo Frameworks.
Thank you and welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and you may begin.
Okay. I thank you guys for allowing us to come forward and present this project that we've undertaken. I've served on the board for the Upper Black since 2006. And as a native of this county, we're really excited about this project. And as we know, water's all on all of our minds. They studied our basin to look at possibilities of recharging our basin. That study was completed. And we have never stopped looking at areas to do recharge in our alluvial aquifer. We found that it's become difficult to find the right areas in our basin to do recharge. I mean, we would think that this vast alluvial deposit that created such a great water source for so many years would be, real easy to get water into. But we're finding that that's pretty typical of all alluvial systems, that there are other geological conditions that are going on that make it restrictive. So it becomes hard to figure out where are the best locations to get the best bang for your buck to help in the longevity of our water supply long term. So we took the study from it's called the Topper Report, and we believe that was a good basis to start with. But we're seeing continued declines in our alluvial aquifers, and we've also funded with USGS, our district solely funded a study on water quality, which started with the county, and we were, again, one of the major stakeholders. We since took that study over because COVID came and funding partners were dropping off, but we've continued to fund that study on the water quality for the entire basin. We've also engaged in a Denver Basin monitoring program, which we're funding through USGS. They're the ones that are putting the report together, giving us the data and the trend lines. That's in its second year. So we're looking at all angles, not just the alluvial recharge, but the bedrock conditions, the bedrock levels. And we were just frustrated trying to figure out where to do recharge and the expense and charge to do pilot programs. And we've been discussing for years on looking at areas in the basin that would be the most beneficial. And so we started attending some Groundwater District Association conferences, and we were in San Antonio, we were at St. Simons, Georgia, and there's been some in New Mexico and Arizona, and these are all big metropolitan or city water providers that attend these meetings. So there's a vast amount of knowledge that is distributed at these meetings, and we came across this process that's been going on called AEM, and we believed that, a light went on this empirical data, and that it's to be tested and trusted. So those were the things we looked at. So we hired Jared from AquaGeo Frameworks, and he's out of Fort Laramie. And it wasn't just they were going to come in and do it, and yeah, it was no big deal. I mean, he really worked with the management district to say, let's prove this thing out first, and let's do some testing in your basin of some wells to geophysically test them. And I know our board members were, they were like, well, what is geophysical testing versus geologging a well? And that basically, Jared can go into detail a little bit about that, but that gave him the ability to tell us that it could be a very successful mapping project of our overlying alluvial aquifer and the Denver Basin bedrocks that are underneath it. So we spent quite a bit of money on the front end, but it was money that was well spent so that we knew that this would be an absolute working map for all of us to use. And I think that it can be a good management tool for not only us, but for you at the county, for your stormwater people, for your development people. I just think it's a tool that is state of the art, and it's catching on all over the world, and we're just really excited about it. And so at this point, I would like to introduce to you Jared Abrahams from AquaGeo Frameworks.
Well, good morning, Madam Chair and the rest of the commissioners and everyone in the audience. So what I've put together today is a little bit of an informational slideshow on what is this airborne EM. Because I know there's probably some of you in the audience. How does this work? What does it do? How do we do it safely? So I have some examples, an example from up along the South Platte River by Gilcrest, where we did a study, and I have an example from Cheyenne, Wyoming. So again, I'm quite honored to be here. Thank you. So areas of data acquisition. When we started engaging with the district on this project, it came down to areas of poor borehole well control. You can't have a hole everywhere. Areas of the channel systems associated with these alluvial aquifers, the thickness of them. The areas of the thick unsaturated alluvium. If you're going to have a recharge project, you have to have some place for the water to go. If there's already water there, it's not going to go in as well. Where does the bedrock aquifer interact with the alluvial aquifer system? Areas that have proximity to recharge water sources. So you may have a good place to put the water, but can you get the water there? Areas that would add benefit with additional recharge to areas of high water consumption. So, and there's areas where this would make more sense recharging because there's a bigger need. So those are some of kind of the overall arching ideas that we looked at. So mapping goals and working with the district, bedrock delineation, and that's one that we're quite confident on based on all the historical work. Clay layer detection, and where these clay layers are and are not have a huge impact on how that water moves through the system. Water table mapping, we feel we can do some of that. And then a very challenging goal is, can we look at some of these caliche layers? And just quickly, for some of you who don't know, caliche layers are where you've had water evaporate and it's precipitated out calcium carbonate. So some of this you see in your pipes, you've seen in your house, you know, that precipitate that comes out. Well, that happens in the ground too. As soon as that happens, it clogs up the sponge that the water's moving through. So that changes the hydrology. So background, airborne EM. It really followed World War II. They were looking for submarines and other things flying over the ground. They said, wow, we're seeing different readings over different geology. Also, airborne aircraft really became more of a use. Magnetic surveys were the first to use. Mining exploration really stimulated the technology and brought it to the higher level that we have now. Gravity magnetic methods, these are different tools to use this. And more recently in the 1990s, USGS, CSIRO, Geoscience Australia, kind of state organizations have really pushed bringing this technology. I was with the USGS for many years, and we moved it from, instead of just being a anomaly tool, so where you can look at changes, to move it to where we can really start getting at where are the thickness of the clay layers and where are the gravels. So how does this work? Let's see how our animation goes. So the real key is the aircraft is flying this tool over the earth 100 feet off the ground. We're using electromagnetic induction. The real key there is we don't have to touch the ground to measure it. Very similar to metal detectors. Many of us have seen metal detectors or used them. Same sort of idea. You're inducing a field into the earth, and depending on what you get back, tells you about what's going on. So this simulation, and this is happening on the order of microseconds, and we're moving through 2 layers of the earth. As the signals move through the earth, they move at different rates. That tells us something about what's in the earth. So what do these platforms look like? Let's see, let it update. Oh. Okay, we've updated now. So here are some of these platforms, different types that occur, different systems. All these systems work, but some of them have different bandwidths, we call. Think of them more as a focus. Some are shallow, some are deeper, some have higher resolution than others. And so this is what they look like. Again, we're carrying a system underneath a helicopter. And starting in the 90s, we really saw the increase in computer power that allowed us to do much more detailed mapping. Some of the things you have to consider. This is a picture of a survey I flew in the Paradox Basin in western Colorado. You have to interact with the local community, especially as these water projects are usually involving state, federal, local governments. And this is a small school in Paradox Valley. We brought the helicopter there, and the elementary school kids were able to take a tour of it. Contractors fly the surveys. I don't own my own helicopter, thankfully. The old joke is, how do you make a billionaire? Well, or how do you make a billionaire a millionaire? You buy an aviation company. But elevation control, system calibration, infrastructure, and this public awareness is a big thing. And that's a part of why we're here in front of you today, is to let you know what we're doing. Survey planning. you have to look at your geologic trends. This is an example from the Gilcrest area. Infrastructure is a big deal. You must confine eating operations. All of these things, we need to know where they are so we avoid them. So this concept of forward modeling, and I put this in there, if anyone ever tries to sell you one of these projects without verifying it will give you a good answer, is a real issue. We worked with the district to look at our ground control. So the holes in the ground, the wells in the ground, and say, what should we see? Is this achievable from an airborne platform? And so we completed that study with the district. We found some boreholes in the area. We did some additional logging. Logging is going to the borehole and running a sensor down the hole and understanding how the earth materials change. The real key to these projects is we're not destroying any of the historical data. We use absolutely all the historical data in building this geologic framework. And then we do an inversion process. We turn these electromagnetic signals to layers in the earth. So a little color scale here. It's just like any of the maps we see on weather channels or anything. You can give a red and a blue, and that gradient tells you about something of the property you're looking at, either the amount of precipitation you're going to get or the changes in the rocks. And in a lot of these plots, the red stuff, or what we're looking for, is the sands and gravels. The blue is the low resistivity, or basically your clays. So here's an example from Cheyenne. This area is about 16 miles along, goes along I-80, and they were looking at where some contaminants had moved into the city well field. We did this with the Army Corps of Engineers. It's since moved to a city. So we're seeing, again, about 16 miles long, about 6 miles wide, and we're seeing about 1,500 feet into the earth. The colors represent changes in the geology. Zooming into just one slice, so now I've taken this big volume, this model, what Dave was talking about, of what's in between the boreholes, and I've made a slice. And I've looked at, okay, one, what did the system see? Where did I fly? And underneath there, the lower plot, the brown colors, are the actual geologic materials. The little bars or tubes that we have here are the boreholes in the area. So again, we're using all of that geology to come up with the best picture we can of the area. Here's an example from the Gilcrest area we did with the Northern Colorado Water Conservation District. Again, measurements above, the white gaps are where we're going through power lines. We cut those out because all we see is the power lines. Below is just one slice of this 3D geologic model. So again, we want to create a picture of how big is the bathtub of this aquifer. Is it tilted? Where is there a cover on it? Where is it not? Here's a 3D representation. So we're looking down on the Gilcrest area, and one of the issues is there's clay layers that were causing water to move laterally and not down into the aquifer and back to the river as part of the augmentation plan. By providing this to the district, they were able to select the best places for their recharge. And the little blue square is an example of where that would be. Again, local examples of how this has been used. So let's move to here. This is some images from the Topper report, the Color Geological Survey. So we know quite a bit about the district. We have some holes there. We know that it's a good aquifer. But the key is in these images, they're based only on about 86 holes. Well, that's better than 26 holes, but we're not seeing the connections in between. So saturated thickness map, all of these are really keys, and this is where the board has asked us, help us define this aquifer the best we can. And where are potential clay layers that would inhibit or preclude recharge? This is the estimated unsaturated thickness from that report. This is a great starting place. This is not bad work. It's not wrong. It's not right. It was based on what information they had at the time. Now, as you go to more difficult management questions, you need to have more detailed, and that's what we're doing with the district. So where are we flying? The blue lines are where we're actually going to be flying in the district. Again, there's gaps in between. Again, we can't fly over infrastructure, houses, and areas. The helicopter is extremely flexible. We're covering 700 line miles, about 1,270 line kilometers. We're scheduled right now for airborne operations to begin on June 4th out of the Meadow Lake Airport. So it's coming quick, which is why we're here talking to all of you today. This is what the system we're going to be using, the SkyTim 304 IM system. Here's a picture of it flying. This was in Nebraska, just in western Nebraska last year. So this is what you potentially see in the area flying along. Moves at about 90 miles an hour and about 100 feet off the ground. We're going to be using Livewire Aviation. I've worked with the pilots at Livewire for about a decade, and they fly surveys all over the country for us. Safety is a huge part of our operations that we always do. Kind of the project flow, we've kind of covered a little bit. We initiate kind of the flight planning, forward modeling, acquisition plan, kind of the product delineation. What do the board need and their technical folks need? Contract with the helicopter vendor, about 3 to 7 days of acquisition. Why do I not more certain of that? Weather. We get a storm move in or high winds, we can't fly. We're all visual flight rules. We provide preliminary data within 24 hours of flying, so we know it's good and start getting initial pictures. Again, that's the good new computers we can do that with and the good systems. And then we have our final inversions, 6 to 8 weeks, and then the interpretive phase where we bring all that other information together to get the board a final report. All of this will be, all the data is available, all the boreholes we've used, all of that will be there as a legacy. We've done many of these projects in the state of Nebraska where they've actually built a repository for state level data. So 5 years from now, someone says, we need to develop a new municipal well in this area. Let's go look at the data of what's available. So it's a bit of a legacy. And as you guys have seen with the growth, as growth continues, some of these areas we won't be able to fly because we can't fly over structures. We're a member, of the International Airborne Geophysical Survey Association, and so are all of our vendors that we fly with. There's protocols that they have recommended for operations around the world, time limits and operational specifics to ensure safety and high quality data. EM signals, kind of one of my last slides I've always looked at. The signals are extremely small, things you have, and I'm always available if anyone has any concerns.
Excellent. Are there any questions or comments? Commissioner Williams.
Yes, if you could go back about 5 slides.
5 slides.
Where you're showing the blue and the red in El Paso County.
This one? It's still catching up. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one. So this is going to sound like a dumb question. Is the blue good here? Does that mean we have deposits of water?
I blew through these a little quick. This is a map of saturated thickness. So the bluer it is, the thicker the saturated thickness is. So when you think of saturated thickness, you have your aquifer, and is it all the way full? So it's just like your glass. Think of it full of sand. That's your aquifer. Is it half full of water or fully full of water? And the saturated thickness would be where the water comes up into that container. So as you can see, this is all kind of like a dendritic system, a stream system moving to the south of the district. And so as these glaciers melted and flowed down, they created these river channels and outwash floods. And that's where you see these deposits. So here, the thicker blue areas where there's the thicker saturated thickness.
And then if you go back one more slide and you have the red. Maybe there was one more that had red on it. Yeah, that one.
Yep, it's taking a minute. So this is unsaturated thickness.
Okay.
So this would be it here, again, we're scientists. We're really bad with our color scales. We don't use the same one twice. We use it to show different things, emphasize. A bit of advertising in us, I think. Here, the red is the thicker area.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Helps.
this is where the best place, the thickest part where you could store the water potentially, geologically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is really interesting. I appreciate it. It's kind of amazing what technologies are out there today to be able to, assess for us how we can store surface water by making sure we get to a place where it's permeable and can get into the water. So I'm looking forward to the outcome of this research.
We know it is. Where are the best places where we could potentially store water? And I'm really looking at building that model, the conceptualization of that bathtub, because it's not just one bathtub. Even these pictures show it quite well. It changes. And just like we'd expect in a natural system, there's deeper parts of the channel and there's shallower parts of the channel. And they're that way because of the amount of water and the amount of sediment loam. So if we can say where those pieces are, then that goes into the engineering plan to answer those questions. Okay, we have water here that's being, that's extra, or we can move it to here. Is it feasible to spend the money of a pipeline or an infiltration system, or do you use injection holes? So that's kind of out of scope of what I do. I'm not the kind of civil engineer type, but what I want to do is give the civil engineers and the board the absolute best picture of the earth I can, so they can make those educated decisions and move forward. And it's not just take my maps and say we're going to go here and spend $10 million on this. No, it's this looks the best. Let's go and put those boreholes in, those ground truths, and verify it. Do infiltration tests to verify you can get that before you spend the money for that big infrastructure plan. And we're doing a similar project this summer in Indiana for the city of Lafayette, where they're trying to develop collector wells. And they want to know, where's the best place to put these before we even send out these drill rigs and spend all these expensive holes. It's educated guessing at the most extreme sense. We make images to go out and verify what's in the ground.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Geithner.
I don't have a question per se, but I do want to just kind of point out, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come. I got to chat a little bit with these folks before this presentation, and this is, the conversation around water is such an important one, as we all know. I think that there are so many pieces that we're all trying to understand and put together. I'm certainly not a water expert, but every time I learn a little bit, I learn how much I don't know, right? And so really appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Look forward to hearing about the results of this. I would ask when that presentation is available, when it's being presented to the board, I assume at a board meeting, but I would love the opportunity to come and to hear more about that and continue the conversation because it is so important to our entire area. And I know that you have a long history of being concerned about the state of water sustainability in eastern El Paso County. So would just love the opportunity to hear more once this is completed. And thank you for your commitment to making sure that there are plans moving forward for a sustainable future for our water.
Yes, thank you. I'll just echo the thank yous for realizing how important this issue is, for approaching it in a professional way, for keeping us as your partners in the county updated. That is going above and beyond, I think, and also just embracing this opportunity to let our citizens and residents who might see those helicopters and other things flying over doing the surveys, just allowing them to understand what it's about and have an opportunity to be educated on what's happening. We appreciate your straightforwardness and ability to just communicate with our residents in this way. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
And item number 8.
Item number 8 is public comment on items not scheduled on the agenda. This is the public's opportunity to speak on an item not scheduled on today's agenda. And Madam Chair, I didn't see anyone sign in ahead of time.
Okay. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes, sir. If you would,
Now, our school even has a gentleman that's the director of the school area here, is actually part of the Special Forces. Okay, so he's a vet. Okay. And then I wanted to bring up the pantry. Our pantry is like a hub for this whole area in Callahan, Rama, a number of communities around here that help the people that actually need help. And some of those are vets, but there's a lot of families that also are part of that. But I just want to bring this up, so, okay? Thank you.
thank you very much. And again, thank you for welcoming us into Callahan. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak on any item not on the agenda? Okay, any online, Blake? Okay. Hearing none, item number 11.
Item
Oh.
number
Item number 11, sorry.
Item number 11 is the called up consent calendar, and there are none.
Okay. If it is amenable to my colleagues here, I think we will take a quick break and come back for item number 12. Welcome back to the Tuesday, May 23rd meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. We are on item number 12.
Item number 12 is the Special District Service Plan, Sterling Ranch Metropolitan District, numbers 4 and 5, a request by Classic SRJ LLC and Spencer Fain PC for approval of a Colorado Rain acquisition, construction, installation, and operation and maintenance of television relay and translation facilities. 6, covenant enforcement, and 7, design, construction, and maintenance of public water, including 5 hydrant systems and sanitation systems. The Planning Commission recommended approval 8-0 with no opposition. Parcel numbers 52000000553, 52270000005, 006, 007, and 008, 52270050001, 52280000038, 52330000015, and 52340020001. Commissioner District Number 2, File ID 23001, Carrie Parsons, Senior Planner, Planner and Community Development.
Ms. Parsons.
Carrie Parsons, Planning and Community Development. Good morning. Sorry, this has a little glare on it. I'm just trying to. Okay, thank you. Ms. Howard already read the application into the record. Thank you very much. This is for the creation of a new Sterling Ranch Metro Districts numbers 4 and 5. The review staff from the planning side of things was myself, assisted by Ms. Shanna Smith with El Paso County Finance Department, as well as Ms. Seego with the County Attorney's Office. If there are any folks that would like to participate, please email the PCD hearings at elpasoco.com and we will get you in the queue to speak. Mandatory criteria for disapproval. This is a little bit different in terms of what we normally see with land use applications before the Board of County Commissioners. So in the case of the creation of a special district, the Board of County Commissioners must find all of the criteria on the screen. If you do not find one of the criteria, you would need to disapprove the draft service plan. The discretionary criteria for disapproval, the board may disapprove the draft service plan if the board finds that the application does not meet the criteria listed on the screen. More specifically, this is again a creation of two districts totaling 576 acres. District 4 is about 276 acres, where District 5 encompasses about 300 acres of land. The debt, maximum debt is $150 million, 50 mil for residential, and an operation and maintenance mill or O&M mill of 15 mils. The service district does have within it the ability to do covenant enforcement. However, they did not add an additional 5 mil for that. It is just included within the O&M. The total combined maximum mill levy is 65 mils, and they are proposing a limited of the period of maturity for any issued debt, not including developer-funded agreements, is limited to no more than 30 years, which is our standard limitation. As Ms. Allred read into the record, the purpose is within the statutory allowances for a special district as listed on your screen. This item was heard before the Planning Commission on April 20th. It was approved unanimously. There was discussion by the former chairman, Mr. Risley, and he stated that there is a need for districts to pay for infrastructure due to the county having low property taxes and the inability to provide centralized services. District funds developments, not the El Paso County. There was a date set hearing to set the hearing on May 2nd and for today's hearing of May 23rd. At this time, I would like to ask the chairman and vice chair if you would like staff to follow through with a complete presentation or if you would like to hear directly from the applicant.
Mr. Hodges, do you have any recommendations on that?
Madam Chair, I believe it's within the chair's discretion to direct a further presentation from staff or just skip on and hear to the applicant. The record's clear either way.
Do any of my colleagues want to have?
I'm here on behalf of the petitioners, Classic SRJ. What we have here as a fundamental issue is this isn't a new development. This isn't really new district proposal. There were are three districts that covered this property previously, and because of the timing of development over the years, those were originally formed back in 2004. As you know, a lot of economic conditions and phasing and home building demand has ebbed and flowed during those 2 decades. So what we're trying to do by adding 2 additional districts is to allow residents who are already on the boards of one and 2 to more fully take control of those districts while allowing these new districts to cover the ground that's completely undeveloped. There's no residents there, and to allow that phasing and that construction to proceed while allowing the residents to control the existing districts. As you can see on here is the general location of the project as well as the proposed districts. And on this slide, the blue area as well as the red outlined areas are the districts that we're proposing to be built or to be organized. They're right adjacent to the existing districts and development areas, and they will not overlap the existing districts. That exclusion has already taken place, and they are being served water and sewer by the Falcon Area Water and Wastewater Authority. Here are some just general development assumptions for these 2 districts alone. Approximately 1,600 units with a full anticipated build out in 2033. And as the general purposes for the infrastructure, some of the major are Banning Lewis Parkway, Briargate Parkway, as well as all of the trunk water and sewer, storm drainage, and open space and parks areas. Again, here are the improvements that will be funded with the districts. And those total approximately $140 million in today's dollars. The next slides are just the maps showing the basic trunk infrastructure that's going to be financed and where those will be located. We've got roadway, water and sewer, as well as the drainage and landscape areas. The financing plan, and we do have representatives from D.A. Davidson here who are the bond underwriters who prepared the financing plan. So if there's any questions regarding that, we're more than happy to bring Ms. Knowles up. But generally, everything is in line with the county's policy as well as the service plan model. We're proposing $150 million debt limitation on $140 million worth of improvements. And that would be discharged within the 30 years as required. Below, I think, in a planning commission, this was of pretty significant interest for them. And this is under the new legislation. We have to provide this information to any and all buyers of a home within the districts now. A model of, okay, you're buying into this project. You love your house. What are the taxes going to be? For full disclosure, this says on an $800,000 house, you're going to have that financial impact from the district. And these are really small, or I'm getting older, probably the latter. Just shows the development progression over the proposed development of the project and how many units are projected each year at each price point, which were used for the development of the financing plan. And here are the bond assumptions and the bottom line bond projected issuances on this. And again, D.A. Davidson can speak more to that if you have specific questions. And the conditions for approval as established at the Planning Commission and of record here, we have met all of the statutory criteria as well as the county's policy and the core values that the county has set out for development projects. There is satisfactory evidence that we have met these criteria. If you'd like me to go through those specifically individually, I'm more than happy to do so. But with our submittal letter as well as the service plan itself, we believe those are of record and established.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think I have any objection to this going forward, but I do have a question. I don't think it's necessarily directly germane to the criteria for approval, but it is something that's certainly been a big discussion here recently in the state of Colorado, and that is, with the separation of Tabor and Gallagher. And this may be a question for our own county attorney or our own legal staff, is this Sterling Ranch Metropolitan District subject to Tabor and or subject to the 5.5?
So that limitation is off the table. We still have the mill levy limitation within the service plan and under state statute that caps what our mill levy will be. What we've experienced, frankly, in the last 10, 15 years with the amazing growth in assessed valuation statewide is we have residents come onto the board, and when we start having those mill levies producing excess revenue, that is a question that our resident boards deal with. And it's a pretty black and white question for them. Do they want to pay off the bonds quicker and get rid of that mill levy altogether? Or do they want to lower their mill levy and keep the same term for those bonds? I think 95% of the districts I represent across the state have voted to just lower the mill levy because, frankly, our turnover in housing is about every 7 years people move. So they're looking for the immediate gratification of let's lower our property taxes right now. But that's the typical result is the mill levy gets dropped dramatically. I just had one last year. It dropped from 44 mills down to 18. So that's a significant outcome for those residents.
Thank you. So maybe just a quick follow-up. So has the district already detabored? Or is it something that will happen?
Yeah, until we're organized, we'll have the election this November, and at that election will be the Tabor question.
Because one of the things that I learned recently is this 5.5% state law, which limits how much you can increase revenue to 5.5%. Is not actually tied in with Tabor, so it's actually a separate consideration as well. Is that something that's also usually deliberated over by the board? And
correct.
Okay, so they are treated separately, but they're both deliberated.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. It sounds to me like I've got my question answered.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for staff, or should I put the approval criteria back up on the screen?
Well, I think at this point we will begin the public input part
sorry.
of the hearing.
I'm sorry, I'm out of sorts. This is different. I'm not used to this. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
No worries. So are there any members of the public in support of this application here to speak today? Okay, any online? Okay, Are there any in opposition to this application? And any online? Okay. Hearing none, typically in a land use hearing, we would have an opportunity for the applicant to answer any questions that came up during the public comment. There have not been any of those today. Do you have any final comments that the applicant would like to make? Okay. With that, the public hearing portion of this is closed, and I will bring it up here for any further questions or comments. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I do, and maybe the presenter might want to answer this. So my question is, so are there any other difficulties, drainage issues related to the project that you're aware of that requires the full mill levy request? Is there anything that stands out?
I think, Commissioner Gonzalez, the main things are the Briargate Parkway, Banning Lewis Ranch Parkway. Those are going to be extremely expensive and extensive extensions of existing infrastructure that are not typical for this style of a development. To make those up to the current standards and to the capacities that the county requires is going to be a pretty significant lift. So other than that, there are significant drainage issues as were shown on the diagrams. But yeah, those are the major infrastructure that's going to be the biggest cost impact.
Commissioner Gonzalez, did that answer your question? Okay. Any further questions of staff at this point? Commissioner Geithner.
Thank you. So my question is actually related to some of the changes that have been made in legislation regarding who is able to implement certain laws, including laws around gun regulations. I know in the past that we've talked about the fact that as these service districts are formed, that is not something that the county is interested in them taking on, and that we have asked for specific conditions to be met in the formation to make sure that that is the case. Can you affirm that that is the case here, and that that regulatory power will not be utilized in this situation?
I'm very happy to. So at the direction of this board, last fall, your staff was directed to rework or rewrite the special district policies and the model service plans. And included within that rewrite did include the language that would prohibit special districts from outlawing citizens to carry.
This is the piece that is starting to concern me a bit, because covenants generally are related to, communities of interest, and there are specific rules that govern Colorado communities of interest. And that is a non-governmental function. And by bringing in a governmental function to enforce that, I'm starting to be concerned about how those two things are interacting from the rights of homeowners. I'm not sure that that is, to an extent, that doesn't mean that it meets our criteria today, but I'm going to ask this board to consider in the future, for staff to consider, we may want to have a conversation around some of those things in the future. I might want to have a conversation. And I would encourage the applicants in this particular situation to consider the potential, what I'm going to call potential for overreach from a service district perspective into an item that is again, that when we talk about covenants, those are kind of more private type contracts that landowners are agreeing to, and when we start moving into that, you're acting much more in a way of what a public body would deliberate on requirements for property owners and homeowners. So those kind of combinations are starting to just concern me a little bit, and I would just ask that continue to think through how that works to make sure that property owners are protected, and that we don't have situations where we're mixing those lines.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So question just for re-clarify, it was stated, I just want to make sure it's stated again. So this will be receiving water service from not themselves, but a different water district, correct?
Sterling Ranch Metropolitan Districts are anticipated to have the intergovernmental agreement with FAWA, Falcon Area Water Wastewater Authority, and they will be providing both water and wastewater services.
All right, thank you. And then for just commentary on this. So that's one of the things that we've done on this. I've approved many of these. I've disapproved a couple, or I've voted against a couple. Some of it is when the request for the full 65. Normally, we've been given an example of something this needs to be fixed, very dire needs. Usually it's some sort of drainage issue. And the other aspect is usually that they've taken care of their own water, and so they need the full mill levy to accomplish those water things. So for me, I'm not sure if the request of the full mill levy was necessarily needed in this case, since the water and wastewater is being provided by the district. So those are the things that, just to me, are things I always take into account on whether this needed to be the full 65 mill. Thank you.
Commissioner Geithner.
Can I ask a clarifying question based on Commissioner Gonzalez's question here is, it sounds, so there's going to be an intergovernmental agreement for water. Will there be any transfer of fees or funds from individuals in that situation, or from what they're paying into this special district, or will all additional water costs be separate for those residents? Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm...
Russ Dykstra again. The infrastructure that's going to be built, the water mains, the sewer mains, all of that infrastructure is being built by Sterling, these districts. Once that's completed, it's just like if you were building in the city of Colorado Springs, those improvements get transferred over to FAWA in this case, or to the city, for operation and ongoing care. FAWA will not receive any direct tax money at all from Sterling Ranch from any of these districts. It is strictly FAWA, like CSU Utilities, will impose water and sewer fees, and from that, they will provide the services.
Okay, so, but the infrastructure will be transferred.
Correct.
So the fee, just again, trying to follow up on this question here. So even though you won't be providing the actual water, the mill levy is still paying for all of that infrastructure.
Correct.
In that situation. So, you know, Commissioner Gonzalez can certainly make up his own mind there, but that's the pieces. It seems that it's very similar to if you were providing the water. The only difference is the actual water itself, which is going to be a separate fee to those residents anyway.
Correct.
It would be in either situation. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it is important, if I may, to understand that FAWA is an authority made up of districts who are all within FAWA. So the folks who move into these districts will have the opportunity to serve on that board as well.
Thank you.
One question.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, just for Mr. Dykstra. While you're there, so the 65 mills also includes finishing Briargate Parkway. Is that correct? Out
Correct.
through the district, and also the Banning Lewis.
Correct.
Okay. Thank
as
you.
well as Volmer is included in that as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. Any further comments and or a motion from this board?
I'll move approval of this item, which is 12. Oh, with the conditions and notations as well.
And I'll second, and it's 8 conditions and 2 notations.
Thank you. That has been moved and seconded. Any further questions or comments? I will call the roll. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Nay.
Commissioner Geithner.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes 4-1. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is department and committee reports, non-action items, and there are none.
Item 14.
Item number 14 is the addendum, and there are no addendums.
Item 15.
Item number 15 is executive session, and there is no request for executive session.
This regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners is adjourned. With that, I think we'll take a brief recess again and then move on to our work session.